Hey everyone, my name is Luke and welcome to my channel. If you've clicked on this video, then you already know why you're here. It's to take a look at this new filter from Antlia. As you can hopefully see if the camera will focus, the ALP-T dual band 5nm high speed. Now, throughout the course of testing this thing, I've found some interesting little quirks about it. I've got mixed feelings, mostly positive, but you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words, so luckily enough I took about 9 of them to share with you and save us both a little bit of time. So I'm going to switch to a scene now. So this filter's coming in around about £400 for a piece of glass here in the UK, so it's not a cheap filter by any means. So if this review is going to start to come across as a little bit merciless, it's because I think this should be perfect for that sort of money. Now, here we are looking at the Jellyfish Nebula first off. So I'm going to tell you exactly what we're looking at on the screen. So this is 25 minutes of data in all cases. In the middle, this was my first night of testing with the ALP-T. And as you can see, on these two bright stars, in this case, Teja and Propus, actually it's that one's Propus and that one's Teja, but it's not important. But the thing that is important, halos, straight away. And I thought to myself, this is a little bit odd. You don't really want to see this kind of thing appearing, especially on not overly bright stars. These are both about magnitude 3.3, 2.8, around that. So bright, but not ridiculously so. And we're seeing bright halos around it. Not good. I thought maybe it was just the night that did it. So I decided anyway on that first night to swap straight back to my IDAS NBZ, test the exact same target. This is within 10 minutes of that first shot there. That's just showing you halos. And on both Teja and Propus, no halos, as you can see. There's some dispersion, like diffraction caused by my power cable and such going into my camera, as this is used on the RASA, but no halos, right? So, okay, this is not off to a great start, so I thought I'll test it again on another night. Now, this was a fully moonlit night, and the moon was nearby. But still, nonetheless, it was a different night, different conditions to test in. It's less obvious, but still, straight away, those halos are indeed there, and they would only get worse with more stacked data. Now, it's not like the IDAS is perfect too, because I actually went on and took a proper shot with this thing, because I thought that looks really promising for 25 minutes. How would 10 hours look like this? It looks pretty darn good, I think you'll agree. But there are some, faint, admittedly, but there are some halos still on this IDAS filter, so you can probably just about imagine how bad the Antlia would look with this same amount of integration time. If the IDAS one looked like this after 10 hours, the Antlia, the halos would be unforgivable, in my opinion. So I'm not trying to assassinate this filter or anything like that, by the way. So I did plenty of testing. I really wanted to give you the best chance possible for anybody interested in purchasing this thing. So I decided to start testing on some other common bright stars. Here in the field of view, we've got the famous filter killer Alnitak, and you can see this is just 15 minutes of data, by the way, 5-minute exposures. Very extremely faint. So it's done a great job, oddly enough, on Alnitak. Almost no filter, no halo whatsoever. Yet up here on Alnilam, there is the beginnings of a halo just starting to show. You can see that same shadow caused by my cables going into my camera, as you can see once again. So there are faint halos, but he's done a really quite, an admirable job on a very challenging star. Interesting, thought I. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I decided to continue testing on more and more bright stars, so I thought, why not test M45? It's completely the wrong type of target if you want to take a serious shot of this, as this is a dual narrowband filter and you really need broadband for a broadband target like this. But nonetheless, it's packed with stupendously bright stars, all of which did not produce halos, interestingly. As you can see, it's halo free. This is 15 minutes, so 3 5-minute shots of the M45 region taken at f2. So if something was going to show up halos, this would be it, and yet there's none in this particular field of view. Very interesting thought. Now the flaming star, that's got some bright stars in it also, as you can see. No halos. interesting enough to note. It's done a decent job, by the way, of extracting the tide poles and the flaming star. This is on that same full moon night 2 of testing. It's done a decent job of extracting that nebula from a seriously bright moonlit background, so at least, you know, full marks on that. It does really look to be performing as a 5nm filter should. Indeed, I took some measurements also. So on the jellyfish, if we just quickly open those again real quick, so jellyfish night 1 and the NBZ on the jellyfish. The Antlia recorded background mean values of 769 on average, whereas the IDAS 5-minute subs 1523, so almost double exactly, interestingly enough. So it's far narrower than the NBZ, so it is working to spec. Now here's a really quick shot, 6 minutes on the Seagull. I was about to start imaging the side of my observatory, so I couldn't keep going for long on this one, but I thought it was worth pointing there just in case anything popped up. And then to further my tests on bright red stars in particular, here is Betelgeuse, and yeah, wow, this is just 3 60-second exposures and already it looks like someone's, you know, taking a slice out of the pizza. It's grim. I'm not impressed with that one. Not for the price of the filter. This is the sort of thing you'd expect to see on a budget offering, I think. It's just not... It's not good enough. They've targeted a filter, quite frankly, at high-speed scopes. And it's, you know, giving halos. It's just no good. So, if I just quickly open up this other final test here. So, these were much fainter stars. So, this is Alula Borealis at the top and Alula Australis down at the bottom, so a whitish star and a reddish coloured star. Now the Australis right down here, if you can hopefully see that on the screen, not really any visible halo, but the slightly redder Alula Borealis is giving off a bit of a halo. This is weird. It seems to be reddish stars that are causing it. I gave it a little bit of treatment, as you can see, just preview number 1 there. I just opened up a preview, applied BlurXTerminator to this just to see if I could see it slightly better, and you can see that there's clearly a jimp missing off the side there. Hopefully you can see that through YouTube's compression. So it's only going to get worse with time. It's a bit of a fainter star. It's taking longer for it to show up, but it is causing halos all the same. So look, I mean, I just want you guys to be equipped with all the possible facts that I can give you. It's completely worth saying that your mileage will vary, not may vary, it will. You know, 2 different setups are going to give 2 slightly different results, even if they're extremely similar. So while my setup's producing halos, maybe there's a chance that yours won't. But I can't really see it, you know. My RAS is set up really well, it's collimated perfectly, my camera's completely flat. I've got a dew shield on, so it's free from stray reflections, stray light getting in and things like that. It's a pretty perfect test setup, if I do say so myself. So, if I'm seeing halos, it does seem likely that you would too. So, what can I say to you about this filter? I'd probably give it a skip, in all honesty. At £400, don't think it's worth it. I'd just go with the NBZ UHS, like I have been doing. Yes, it's less narrow, but you know, how much does that matter if you're going to be catching big, dirty, great halos all over the place? Do you know what I mean? I'd sooner, I mean, it still makes a nice image. You've stacked enough time, even though it's a less narrow filter. This is the NBZ again, like I said. So, it's up to you guys. Anyway, that's about it. I want to keep this as brief as possible. I've given you the information that I have at hand, and I'll just leave by saying thank you massively, by the way, to everybody who's been using my affiliate links for BlurXTerminator, StarXTerminator, NoiseXTerminator. You've made my month. You've really helped me out a great deal, and yeah, it's just been a fantastic thing to be a part of. So thanks to Russ Croman and to everybody using those affiliate links. Huge thanks really huge thanks, and on heart, as always, to everybody supporting my channel directly via YouTube memberships, Patreon, that kind of thing. You make all the difference, and I appreciate each and every single one of you out there. And that's about it from me, guys. So, yeah, thanks to everybody in general for watching, and until the next one, just look after yourselves out there, and clear skies.